yesterday marked a great milestone for our state. We've always said that vaccination is the key to our freedom.
After New South Wales hit its 70% vaccination target, Dominic Perrottet and his inner circle were all on hand this morning. The new Premier's key message:
this is not just a health crisis, it's an economic crisis too.
While all the hospitality and retail basics remain unchanged, there were changes to social gatherings.
We're doubling home visitations.
So 5 adult visitors at home will now be 10.
We're increasing outdoor gatherings.
A bump from 20 to 30.
Importantly, we are increasing or lifting the caps in relation to weddings and funerals.
A full doubling from 50 to 100 guests. Also brought forward, the reopening of indoor pools and a ban on singing at religious services has been nixed, with performers and choirs of up to 10 allowed from Monday. Further along the roadmap, a new plan to have every school-age kid back in classrooms by the 25th of this month, a full week sooner.
That's great for kids. It's a major relief for parents and their sanity.
But teachers say they've not been consulted.
How do you intend to staff a school with all students present from the 25th of October when only approximately 85% of your workforce has been double vaccinated?
Conspicuously absent from today's presser, the Chief Health Officer or anyone else from New South Wales Health.
It is a health crisis, so the Chief Health Officer should be here.
It's also an economic crisis as well.
And still no word on when the vaccination status update to the Services New South Wales app will go live.
That was meant to be rolled out weeks ago. Now we're 4 days away from opening. We raise these concerns because we want this to be a success. The economy is dependent on it. People need to get back to work.
While the roadmap may be rocketing ahead of schedule, a key warning about rising case numbers over the next few weeks has not changed.
Their test, trace, isolate and quarantine measures, they're still in place. And all of that combined, I think, provides the protection which the Doherty modelling says is necessary.
If we continue to make the effort and make the sacrifices that we have all been making, New South Wales will be open again, and that ensures we can get people back to work, keep businesses open and get the economy and society back to where it was before this pandemic began.
Danielle McMullen is the president of the New South Wales branch of the AMA and joins us now. Danielle, in the background to this is the fact that the Chief Health Officer, Kerry Chant, wasn't at the press conference to announce this. And now tonight it's being reported that she didn't endorse this new plan. Are you worried about it?
I mean, I don't want to speculate too much on that. My understanding is that Health and Kerry Chant have continued to provide briefings to the new Premier. But obviously, as always, the decisions that they make from that advice are a matter for government. And as the AMA, what our clear message is that we want health to continue to be front and centre of the government's decisions. We do think that to date, New South Wales has managed to tread that difficult decision-making path between keeping us safe from COVID, but also allowing our mental health to be looked after and obviously businesses to continue. And there's some really difficult times ahead and some tough decisions for government, but we really want to make sure that health remains front of mind.
Although listening to that press conference today, Danielle, it does sound like Dominic Perrottet has more of a focus on the economy than he does on the health. So of those new measures that he's announced today, are there any that you think are a particularly big problem?
Look, certainly today was of concern to us. The breadth and scope of today's changes really did take us by surprise. We're particularly concerned, as strange as it may sound, but by the increase in household gatherings. At home is often where we feel safe, we let our guard down, but actually throughout this outbreak, we've seen that homes are one of the riskiest environments. So it's a strong plea to the people of New South Wales to really keep those home visits to a minimum and make sure that everyone involved in those home visits is vaccinated, and you keep track of who's been at your house so that you know if a COVID positive case does come up, you know who you've been in contact with and can get in touch with people quickly.
Does the sharp drop in cases in New South Wales allow for this extra wiggle room?
It's really been fantastic to see the case numbers fall, and we're certainly feeling much more comfortable than we were a few weeks ago when we were still expecting to see that really awful peak around 2,000 cases a day and very concerned about the strain that would put on the healthcare system. But we're not out of the woods yet. We know that the hospitalisation of COVID cases lags the diagnosis by about a week or two, and so we are still expecting to see some strain on our hospital system. And what we also don't know is how the relaxation of restrictions is going to affect COVID numbers. And we have concerns that the speed of this reopening plan, particularly with the changes today, doesn't allow us to pause and think as much as the previous roadmap did to be able to make sure that reopening doesn't get ahead of us. We certainly don't want to be in a position where we're 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Danielle, thanks so much.
Thanks.
From expert opinions to in-depth analysis and reporting, the Project YouTube brings you the biggest stories from Australia and around the globe. Hit the subscribe button now for news delivered straight to your feed.